Good morning, everybody, from Panama on this Saturday. I don't have a lot to say today, just some musings on things that I notice and pattern recognition to help you understand pattern recognition, which is a basis of mind control or brainwashing, because this is really where it all comes down to looking at your subconscious and how they're putting programs to you and moving you towards a goal, an agenda, and that all the dots connect. When I go online and take a look, so over the last longer than 6 months, but a lot of what you see in the headlines: murder, 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 this serial killer. You see that repetition is going straight into your subconscious, right? Remember, 11 million bits of data are downloaded into the subconscious mind every second. And it's sorting through that. And repetition, it's kind of like see it as a little person keeping score of the amount of things that are repeated. So if you're looking and it you can access it goes into the subconscious mind before you're consciously aware you're looking at it. That's how it works. Information goes in first, right? Into the sub because it's rapid. It is instantaneously it's taking in information, right? So those repetitive words, whatever they are, because they are symbols. The subconscious mind reacts to symbols and feelings. So the symbols represent the letters, the words are symbols, and the feelings that go along with that, what go along with fear. It can spur people to do such atrocities, thinking that the herd is doing it, right? Because it's at a subconscious level. There was one, Darren Brown did one about subconscious conditioning. He did it for 2 weeks with these people, a little bit every day, and they 3 out of 4 of them robbed an armored truck just walking by from the programs that were put into us. Darren Brown, you can go online, YouTube, he's got all kinds of stuff um, about, he does it for entertainment purposes about, but how easy we are to be mind controlled. So this repetition, when you start to see it, you can see these repetition of symbols, words that get encoded into people's minds. And the mainstream is owned by the very people that are pushing us towards this. Well, we're already in a technocracy. And this whole thing about technocracy or anything that the governments want to do, this is what they are doing right now, right? Is to move people into what they want, saying that they're giving them good things. So they create a problem. It's problem um, reaction. So they are they are masters of doing this. How they move along agendas over millennia, really. So now you can look at that. You take a look at what's happening in the United States with all the Palantir stuff, the pre-crime, the facial recognition as a safety because they're dual use. They're selling them. The PR, Palantir, that strange man, Peter Thiel, the PayPal mafia dude, is selling it as safety because they're going to decrease crime because it will be AI because human beings, like look at Canada, where the chiefs of police are saying, bend over, take it, don't do anything, don't protect yourself. Do you think that maybe that's not just all part of an agenda to make the police look like fucking fools so that you can have AI come in and police it? AI already is. It's already telling the people, the fools, because I'm sure I know the police force is exactly the same as what hospitals and nursing turned into. They hire in management positions people that are not the sharpest tools in the shed, but they got lots of arrogance, right? And they tease that out of them and make them think that there's somebody. They make the best friggin' tyrants. Well, they're in all your businesses, right? The police force is actually being destroyed from within, from these people that have this pontronology. People come in and they invert towards the agenda, and the agenda is you won't have real people policing anything. It will be, and they're manufacturing them every minute of every day, robots and different things to keep us human beings herded, and we'll be asking for it ourselves. They make the problem so terrible that we ask for our own imprisonment and make the prisons smaller and smaller and more rules, more regulations. The government has their little nose. Well, it isn't. The CEOs of these huge conglomerations of psychopaths have control over. They control your move. They want to control everything you do, and they want to take every last cent off of you, right? In this technocratic, imagine pre-crime, and you wouldn't be able because the machine said you were going to fucking do it. And the machine is always right because that's what they look at now. No, the machine is only doing what it's been fucking programmed to do. Remember, it's a tool to brainwash you. That book that it's a fucking fact. TV, screens, computers, AI, LSD, same thing, is to make you more mind fuckable and have you go towards the agenda of your own imprisonment. And that gets me to another little aha and looking at sort of the answer for that. Okay, they want to pair us with machines. So they want to go in and start messing around, and they already have. They already have. They've been doing it for a while. They experiment on you without your consent all the fucking time, right? DNA and electrical impulses. Do you know that they can identify us? We each have a unique signature, electrical impulse that identifies who we are. Because we are electrical beings living in an electrical world in electrical fields. We are fields of energy. So they want to be able to tap into that DNA. And you have to figure that what they're doing now, they is 40-year-old technology. They're 40 years ahead of where they are. 40 years ahead. Our DNA can be affected by light stimulation, photons, our ears, auditory resonance, right? Electrical frequencies, magnetic frequencies. Our DNA is this antenna. They start messing around with the antenna. Where are the antenna on us to? The hive, this hive mind. What is the hive mind? Is the hive mind the plasma that they've been stimulating up in the ionosphere? What is it all? I don't have the answers to that, but these are questions that you can ask yourself. And it may sound science fiction. It's supposed to sound science fiction because the science fiction people were working at writing things that seem so unbelievable, but they're not. They're based on what the technologies are that are being used against us, that are looked at as the enemy. And anything that has to do with technocracy and transhumanism and going after your DNA is evil for one thing. It's trying to disconnect you from your divine spark, right? It it it's anti-human. It goes against what we are and the divinity of our DNA, and to hook us up to playing God with something that they didn't create, that was created by something far superior than whatever is creating this, and thinks that it can go in and tamper with our DNA, right? In multiple ways. They're way, most people have no idea. I have some idea, and they're way ahead on that, right? So who owns it? And I think there's a larger group of people that are coming together in science. Believe it or not, real science, the people that say there really is no true answers. There's theories and we move towards them. And if that doesn't sort of pan out, we change and look at different things. We're open to discussion, not the one narrative. If it's a one narrative, that's propaganda and it's not true. So they're coming to see that who it, do we have the autonomy over our own DNA, our own cognition, our neural network? Whose is it? It's mine. And so they're trying to the battlefield is your mind, your consciousness. They're actually trying to take your consciousness out of the field of energy it's in now because it's connected with the DNA, right? Into this field of energy, your autonomic nervous system, where everything happens, is connected to that field of energy, right? And they're trying to break that and actually pair you with a synthetic one, right? By changing your fractal antennas to pick up a different Wi-Fi. And from what I can gather, what I see, it's not a good Wi-Fi system. It's not. We're evil. and it roots right into people and it turns them into automatons, machines. And when you look at how what AI will do in pre-crime, there may be no evidence except what this machine says. And this person may never, ever do what they never. But they'll go in, they have the technology. I've read about it. It's fucking terrifying. They want to do it on, well, I'm sure they've already experimented. Of course they have. They've been doing electric shock. They know what this is. So this thing, it does a whole different, and it just completely wipes out. It's a technological lobotomy. They destroy your frontal lobe and your memories. They're doing it now with poisons and stuff like that. These earbuds that you put on, you're radiating your temporal lobes, which are your hippocampus, your memory center. So they're already doing, they have, what can I say, multiple ways to hollow out your brain. This will be another part, and it'll be the dissidents, people like me, if this actually comes to fruition, they'll do this to. They'll pick you up. They've already started in the US. You can see them, they're a little further ahead with it, right? Bringing out martial law, bringing in specialized trained police force. In states, by the way, that have more guns, looking at pre-crime, and reenacting mental institutions because they've let that go by. They let out people that should have never been let out of these institutions, right? And then so it's going to go the other way, and they will indeed be doing these forms of lobotomies on people with this little because it's a dual use technology, right? That they say will help people that have post traumatic stress by erasing memories, right? So it'll get rid of anxiety, depression. So it's this whole technocratic, transhumanist bullshit. Eugenics, that's all it is. Technocracy and transhumanism is eugenics, and to get rid of your God given gift of who you are. And that gets me to my next little something that I wanted to say. I had this great cat, Max. Loved him. I got him. He was actually Neil, my son, who has now passed away, that died of the drug overdose. And I knew he was having some rough times, and we had lost one cat, so I got Maxie, the cat boy. He was just this little fluff ball of black fur. He was just the most gorgeous cat. And he grew up to be this Max, a gentle friggin' giant, best mouser, best anything, loved to hunt, right? But didn't cotton up to a lot of people. So you knew if Max loved you, he loved you well because he was very shy. So it was, I mean, all of moving here was the biggest wrestle in my life with leaving behind everything. I left my family, everything, but I cannot stay in Canada. I get sick when I'm in Canada. It makes me sick. My sensitivities cannot handle that. I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on in that country to some degree. The other hidden shit, because what I see, the real stuff that I see that they write about, I can't be there. So leaving Max with my family, he was like I would do meditations when my son died, right, to just kind of bring my head back into life. And the cats would sit with me, and Max would sit with me, and I used to say it was like purr therapy. And he was this giant cat. I have long legs. And he'd stretch out, and he'd be like the whole side of my legs, right? And this purr therapy, he just kind of knew. So I kind of left him. It was kind of like I'm leaving you, Max, but I'm leaving you to care for my family, right? To carry on when I'm not there. So in one of my videos in this week, I spoke about how awful I felt on Monday. Awful. And I put it like, because there was all kinds of solar flares and this increase with HARP and shit like that, right? In the electromagnetic fields around us. Just exhausted. Exhausted and so sad, like grief, sadness, right? So my daughter messaged me on Thursday and said, Max has gone missing. We can't find him. I've put a thing out on Facebook. We've been out looking for him. We can't find him. So I sat with that and then kind of immediately got back because I thought, I bet you went missing on Monday. I got back to her. She said, yeah, I went missing on Monday. And that's not the first time that this has happened to me. I'm sure it happens more often. It's that I'm only now coming to understand the awareness of the sensitivity of the feelings that I have. Remember, the subconscious mind, feelings and symbols it picks up on. So uh, I am of the mind, and this is quantum physics, that when we come together, when we love, right, our energy field and consciousness connects with another, and this is done with particles, right? If you separate them, you're still connected. So when Max, whatever happened, did he get hit? I hope it was sudden and he didn't suffer. And I hope it wasn't anything because there's nefarious shit happening there, right? And when I was there were missing cat signs everywhere. There are people. It's just very weird there. There's a lot of distorted energy. So I just hope that it wasn't suffering that happened to Maxie, but I felt it. And I felt it with my friend Dan when he died. I had the same thing. It was almost like being hit with the flu, that exhaustion and then despair, sadness. And with Dan, the same thing a few days before I found out, and it corresponded exactly. And I've had other instances where people who weren't, I didn't want to talk to on the phone, that I hadn't had contact with a very long time, for days in advance. This awful, we are connected and we are not machines. We should be in awe of how we work. We're not, because we are told from the moment of conception with symbols into that we need this and we need that, and there's something wrong with this. We're not quite right. We need this, we need that. No, we need to be allowed to be our true human self. You see, the people that are running this eugenics little thing, there's something above that. But this they feel that we're a blight on the fucking earth. There's something wrong, that so they simulate or stimulate us to react in certain ways with this mind control in our subconscious, and then go, see, this is why we should off them all. And they do. Planned Parenthood, it's all eugenics. We live in a eugenics field, and the same with the eugenics. And now they're this whole to machine. You need to be a machine, but yet we're connected, and that's the DNA, my friends, that they are trying to disconnect us from. The 98% of junk DNA that isn't junk DNA, that holds the true capacity and ability of who we are. But I'm going to tell you something. Do you think when I was drinking, smoking, and my mind never fucking settled down, and I didn't understand thoughts and consciousness and subconsciousness, that I could have ever heard the intuition or read the symbols of things that were happening in my life and the way that I felt? Not blaming myself for it, but understanding that outside, when we do, I can remember going into hospital rooms with people that were terrified, and I would make an intention before I went in that I would calm everybody down in the room just by my very presence in the room. And let me tell you, it works. If you, the same being said, I don't get angry often, but when I get angry, or if I'm not in a very good mood, I can change the whole fucking room. That's why I try not to do it. That's why at Christmas time, around when Neil died, I won't go around people because I don't want to transmit that. It's also why I'm very careful, because they are very aware of, when mind control, the group pressure. That's why I'm very cautious about groups of people that I go around. And of course, because I'm sensitive and I've allowed myself to continue to deal and heal with my pain, that I can sit in silence. It's how I hear. My dreams, there are some of them that are so vivid, right? They are telling me something in the language of symbols and feelings. That's how you create, in the language of symbols and feelings. This last little part is dedicated to my good friend Rosie. Rosie, I worked with at RVH, and then we also taught dance together with people that, the very people that Maid is killing right now, that you've been told are, worthless and have no point in being in this world. And then it's all for compassion that we're allowing serial killer doctors to kill them. No, it isn't. I saw what community and acceptance and dance could do for people. They would walk in, they would walk in being sad and despair, isolated, not accepted, right? Some had dementia, some had strokes, some had psychiatric problems, some had developmental disabilities. And at the end of those groups, everybody be smiling. It was perfecto. Rosie is a gem. She's just a doll, little angel. So this is advice from Rosie. One of the ones I always remember, Rosie. Um, it's a story you told me because, the world is big and we can't change the world. And this was a story that you had read. I don't know where you had read it, though you always gave me good books. I love the books. But this was a little article that you had read. So this gentleman was very wealthy, and he wanted to know, what can I do in this world to make the world a better place? I just want to make the world a better place. So he did all kinds that never really seemed to have a lasting impact. So what he came down to is that you do it one by one, and you do it in your community. You do good. You do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. You bring happiness, right? Whatever that is, kindness. You know, we can change a person's day by actually seeing the essence of good in them, because I have met people that you would think have no essence of good. We all have essence of good. And I've met some very, very, what can I say, people that their hearts had been eaten by evil. But inside that person was always perfection. There is always something good in people, right? It's coming back to seeing the beauty of seeing everybody just as they are. And I think that that comes first from accepting self for who you are and allowing yourself to be you, and spreading that out to accepting other people and allowing them to be who they are, and just doing good for good's sake. Just do it because it puts out, remember, that energy field that I'm told you about, where Max got in touch with me, or my friend Dan got in touch with me. That's real. What happens when we put different energy out there, good energy out in the field, as much as we can? Good energy first, because always, as the Buddhists say, you always direct it to self first. It's like putting on the oxygen mask. You put it on first in a plane crash, right? So that you can help others. You have to do your work. You have to do that work. You have to heal. You have to know self to be able to hear the messages that come through to you. Because I believe it as sure as I'm sitting here today, because the messages have always been talking to me and I've always followed them. So, Rosie, that story's for you. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Bring out, remember what you are. Remember what you are. You are not a machine. You are a divine spark, meaning that you can transcend any perceived limitation. Okay, take care. Have a good day. And who owns, I'll do more on who owns your DNA, who owns, what can you do? Because as I said a little bit, I got into, there are those that are writing articles, right, about how we go about protecting our most intimate, because that's where they're after. That's where the war, the consciousness, your mind. Okay, take care. Have a good Saturday.